Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be buried alive and know that no one even knows where you are? Well, this is the story of a 20-year-old called Barbara Jane Mackle, the nightmare that became her reality. Let me tell you the story. It was December 17th, 1968, just days before Christmas. Barbara was sick with the Hong Kong flu, staying in a motel with her mother, trying to get home for the holidays. At 4 a.m., a knock came at the door. A man, claiming to be a police officer, said Barbara's boyfriend had been in an accident. Her mother believed and opened the door, and everything changed in an instant. The masked attackers rushed inside. Her mother was tied up. Barbara was dragged away at gunpoint, and she didn't know where she was being taken, only that she was being kidnapped for real. 30 miles north of Atlanta, deep in a quiet pine forest, the kidnappers had already prepared a grave. They forced Barbara into a fiberglass box, barely the size of a coffin, and inside that box was a lamp, a fan, water laced with sedatives, and 2 plastic air pipes leading to the surface. Before sealing her in, they made her hold a sign that read, "Kidnapped." Then they covered the box with dirt and walked away. For more than 80 hours, Barbara laid underground in darkness, in silence, listening to the dirt settle above her. She screamed until her voice disappeared. She prayed someone would find her. She didn't know if she would ever see daylight again. Meanwhile, her father had received a ransom demand for $500,000. The first drop failed. The second succeeded, but still no word. The FBI raced against time, tracking abandoned cars, fake identities, and a trail of desperate clues. Finally, they found a patch of disturbed earth. Agents dropped to their knees, digging with their bare hands and even with shovels. Then, a sound, faint but real, and there she was. Barbara was alive. After more than 80 hours underground, she emerged weak, dehydrated, terrified but alive. Alive to see another day. And that was the main thing. Now let's go to the sordid and the very bad part of the story. What about the people who did this to her? Do you wonder what they did to them? Our kidnappers named Gary Stephen Christ and Ruth Shearer. Let me tell you a little about Christ. Christ was a medical student with a privileged background, while Ruth was a young woman who became the first woman ever to be placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Now, Christ was caught trying to escape by boat. He was sentenced to prison, but here's the disturbing part. He was eventually paroled, and he went to medical school, and he actually became a medical doctor afterwards. So the man who buried a 20-year-old woman alive was later allowed to treat patients. Yeah, it happened. Now Ruth, on the other hand, fled and went into hiding. She was eventually captured and sentenced to jail and then deported. They walked out of prison. Barbara never walked out of that box in the same way. Yes, her body survived, but the memory of being buried alive never really goes away. This is a story of Barbara Mackle, the young woman who survived being buried alive, while the people who did this to her got a second chance at life. For whatever reason. Share your opinion. Does this sound right? That he was able to actually practice medicine after doing this to a fellow human? Let's hear what you've got to say about this.